Did you know that after the age of 60, hypothyroidism can manifest itself in a completely different way and often be confused with natural aging? Thousands of people in this age group are suffering unnecessarily because they don't know how to identify the specific signs or when it's really necessary to seek medical help. In this video, I will reveal the 5 warning signs you can't ignore and the exact protocol that can safely transform your quality of life. If you are over 60 and dealing with hypothyroidism, you have probably asked yourself, is my treatment really appropriate for my age? Or, how do I know if I need to adjust my medication? These are exactly the right questions to ask, and you're in the right place to find the answers. I'm going to share with you the specific strategies that make all the difference at this stage of life, including when it's time to seek a second medical opinion. I have treated hundreds of women who came to me believing they were just getting older. Fatigue that doesn't improve, drier skin, hair loss, mood swings. Often all of this was attributed to age, when in fact it was the thyroid asking for attention. And that's exactly why I'm here, to show you that you don't have to accept these symptoms as inevitable. They may be linked to hypothyroidism, and there are safe ways to regain energy and quality of life. I have been an endocrinologist for over 15 years, specializing in the thyroid, and what I am going to share with you today is the result of decades of clinical practice, closely observing the real lives of women like you who are in their 50s, 60s, or older. I'm not going to talk about complicated theories or medical terms that are difficult to understand. I'm going to talk about real life, about signs that often go unnoticed, and about how to recognize when it's time to seek medical help to ensure that your treatment is really appropriate for your age. I know it can be distressing to deal with the feeling that your body no longer responds in the same way, even when taking medication correctly. I also know that uncertainty about when to adjust or question your treatment can cause insecurity. That's why I want you to stay with me until the end of this video, because here I'm going to reveal the 5 warning signs that cannot be ignored and the practical protocol that I myself apply with my patients to provide security and clarity at this point in their lives. You are about to understand, once and for all, how to differentiate between what is natural aging and what is actually the effect of hypothyroidism. You may have noticed that after the age of 50 or 60, everything seems more confusing. The body changes, hormones change, and even the way the thyroid manifests itself changes. That's why so many women at this stage end up living with symptoms that could be alleviated, simply because they haven't been able to identify what is related to the thyroid and what is part of the natural aging process. I want to start by revealing the warning signs that I, as an endocrinologist, always ask my patients to watch out for. There are 5 points that cannot be ignored, and understanding each of them will clear your mind. The first sign is persistent fatigue, that tiredness that doesn't improve even with a good night's sleep. I'm not talking about the exhaustion of a busy day or a difficult week. It's different. It's a constant weight, a lack of energy that seems to drain your enthusiasm for the simple things in life. Many women tell me, "Doctor, it feels like I'm walking against the wind." This isn't just aging. Aging can indeed slow you down, but it doesn't steal your vitality so aggressively. When this type of fatigue sets in and does not improve, the thyroid may be involved. The second sign is a change in mood and mental clarity. Many patients report sadness, irritability, lack of patience, even memory lapses. And almost always someone in the family or even the doctor himself says, "It's your age." But that's not quite right. Aging can affect mood, but when these symptoms are accompanied by a feeling of mental fogginess and difficulty concentrating, it is a sign that the body is asking for more specific attention. Hypothyroidism can directly influence your emotional balance and clarity of thought. The third sign is the visible physical impact: drier than normal skin, thinner hair, brittle nails. The skin ages naturally, yes, but when it starts to become rough, flaking easily, when your hair falls out in clumps and you feel like you're losing your identity in front of the mirror, it deserves to be investigated. Often, patients buy creams, change shampoos, undergo cosmetic treatments, but nothing works because the root of the problem is in the thyroid. The fourth sign is sensitivity to cold. This is a classic sign, but many people don't notice it. That feeling of always being cold, even when others are comfortable. Cold hands and feet, difficulty warming up at night. This is more than just discomfort. It's your body telling you that your metabolism isn't working as it should. And here, once again, many women think it's simply because they're getting older, when in fact their thyroid is slowing down and reducing energy production. The fifth warning sign is a change in your body's rhythm, especially your intestines and weight. Many women report constipation, a sluggish bowel that insists on not functioning properly, and unexplained weight gain, even when eating little. Aging can bring about changes in metabolism, but when weight increases persistently and unfairly, and the bowel becomes sluggish, this combination deserves to be evaluated seriously. These 5 signs are the initial map to help you avoid falling into the trap of thinking that everything is due to age. They act as a silent alarm, warning you that your treatment may need to be adjusted or, in many cases, that there has not yet been a proper investigation. And here comes an essential point. It is not enough to just recognize these signs. You need to know when they indicate that it's time to seek medical help again. Many women start treatment, receive a dose of medication, and believe that it will remain stable forever. However, after the age of 60, the body changes, needs change, and the way the medication works can also change. What worked at 50 may no longer be sufficient at 65. I always tell my patients that follow-up care is not a luxury. It is safety. When these signs begin to accumulate, it is the clearest way for the body to say, I need attention now. It is not a time to panic. It is not a time to start adjusting anything on your own, but it is a time to seek specialized medical advice. And throughout this video, I'll show you exactly what protocol I use in my office to differentiate between symptoms of natural aging and those caused by hypothyroidism. This step-by-step process provides clarity, reduces uncertainty, and above all, gives you back control. Because what I see most often are women wasting precious years believing that it's just age, when they could be living with more energy, self-esteem, and enjoyment of simple things. When I talk about persistent fatigue, you may have felt exactly that, waking up already tired, as if the whole night had not been enough to replenish your energy. This is one of the most common complaints in the office, but also one of the most neglected. I will tell you about a patient who made a big impression on me. She was 62 years old, active, walked every day, ate well, but in the last 2 years, she began to feel a constant heaviness in her body. She said, "Doctor, it seems that life has lost its color. I wake up with no desire to do anything." Her family said it was normal after all. She was getting older, but it wasn't. We adjusted her hypothyroidism treatment, and within a few weeks, she was walking again, cooking with pleasure, and even painting again, something she had given up. Aging can cause fatigue on some days, but it does not continuously rob you of your ability to live. When the body insists on this state of exhaustion, there is almost always a factor beyond age. The second sign, the impact on mood and mind, is perhaps the most treacherous. Many women come to me worried that they are becoming depressed, or even afraid that they are developing dementia because their memory is not what it used to be. And I always ask a simple question. Did this feeling come on suddenly, or has it been creeping up over the months? With natural aging, memory can indeed slow down a little. It may take you a few seconds longer to remember a name or where you put your glasses. But when mental fogginess is accompanied by unexplained sadness, exaggerated irritation, and a constant feeling of being disconnected from yourself, that's different. A 68-year-old patient told me that she stopped attending family gatherings because she felt she couldn't keep up with the conversations, forgot what she was going to say, and this made her feel embarrassed. We adjusted her thyroid treatment, and within 3 months, she was laughing with her grandchildren at the dinner table again. The difference was striking. The third sign is visible in the mirror. Skin, hair, and nails. Aging leaves its marks, which is natural, but it should not be confused with a process of deterioration that causes suffering. Wrinkles, for example, are part of life, but extremely dry skin that itches, flakes, and seems unable to absorb any cream is another scenario. Hair may lose some volume with age, but intense hair loss, brittle strands, and thinning eyebrows are beyond what is expected. I remember a 70-year-old patient who arrived with a box of hair products she had bought over the past 2 years. She spent a fortune trying to restore shine and strength to her hair, But nothing worked because the problem was not with her hair, it was with her thyroid. After the correct adjustment, her hair grew back more vigorously. Maybe not like when she was 30, but healthy enough to restore her lost self-esteem. The fourth sign is sensitivity to cold. You may even dress warmer than before, which is common. But when you are always cold, even on hot days, it is different. I have a patient who told me, "Doctor, I even take a blanket to the living room, even when everyone else at home is wearing a t-shirt." This type of report is very characteristic. Aging can reduce thermal tolerance a little, but not to the point of making life a constant discomfort. If you feel like you're always fighting the cold, it's time to think about your thyroid. And finally, the fifth sign, your body's rhythm. Metabolism does change with age, but when your intestines really slow down, when your weight goes up for no reason, that goes beyond what is natural. I'm not talking about gaining 2 or 3 pounds over the years, but a sudden increase or extreme difficulty losing weight, even when eating a balanced diet. A 65-year-old patient came to me in tears because, in less than a year, she had gained 8 kilos without changing anything in her diet. Her daughter said it was old age, but it wasn't. We adjusted her medication, and, with patience, she managed to stabilize her weight and, more importantly, feel in control of her own body again. Notice how each of these signs can be confused with natural aging. This is exactly what causes so many women to suffer in silence. But when you understand the difference, something changes inside you. You begin to see that it's not laziness, it's not weakness, it's not simply life slipping through your fingers. It's a biological process that can be safely adjusted. And this is where the practical part comes in, how to interpret these signs in your personal context. Because every woman is unique, and the way the thyroid manifests itself can vary. The key is to always pay attention when discomfort starts to limit your life. If fatigue prevents you from enjoying simple moments, if your mood drives you away from the people you love, if the mirror no longer reflects the woman you recognize, if the cold becomes a burden, if your weight or bowel movements are completely out of your control, these are not just details, they are warning signs. Now, I want to show you exactly the protocol I use with my patients to differentiate between what is a natural change due to aging and what requires medical attention. Think of this protocol as a safety map. It does not replace a consultation, but it provides clarity and prevents you from being paralyzed by doubt. The first step in the protocol is organized observation. I always ask my patients to write down their symptoms in a simple way, in a notebook or diary. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just record how your energy level was during the day, how your mood was, if you noticed more hair loss than usual, if your skin was very dry, how your bowels were functioning, and if you felt excessively cold. This daily or weekly record is a powerful tool because memory can be deceiving. Often, when I ask how long the patient has been experiencing a certain symptom, she replies, "A few months." But when reviewing the records, we realize it has been years. With the notebook, you can see the pattern and notice when something is persisting beyond what is acceptable. The second step is to identify the intensity. Every symptom can vary, but it is important to differentiate when it becomes limiting. For example, feeling tired after a busy day is to be expected. But if the fatigue is so severe that you avoid leaving the house, stop doing activities you used to enjoy, or need to lie down several times a day, this goes beyond what is normal. This assessment of intensity is crucial. Ask yourself, is this symptom taking away my freedom to live as I would like? If the answer is yes, it should be taken seriously. The third step in the protocol is to observe the duration. Temporary symptoms happen to everyone, at any age. But if they persist for weeks or months, it is a sign that your body is insisting on warning you. It's like an alarm bell that won't stop ringing. If fatigue lasts more than 3 months, if constipation becomes routine, if sensitivity to cold is present in all seasons, it's not just aging, it's something that needs to be evaluated. The fourth step is to assess the combined impact. Often, symptoms appear subtly and in isolation. A little tiredness, a little dry skin, a little constipation. Separately, they may seem harmless, but when added together, they create a huge burden on quality of life. The protocol I apply always takes this combination into account. I don't just analyze a single symptom, but the sum of them, And it is precisely this combination that often reveals that hypothyroidism is out of balance. The fifth step is emotional self-assessment. It seems simple, but it is essential. I always ask my patients, do you feel like you are living your life, or do you feel like you are just surviving? This answer usually comes with tears in their eyes, because many realize that, little by little, they have adapted to a life of limitation, believing that there was no way out. When the answer is, I'm just surviving, it's a clear sign that treatment needs to be reviewed. Now, after applying these 5 steps, organized observation, intensity, duration, combination of symptoms, and emotional impact, you will have much more clarity in deciding when it's time to seek help. But one essential point is still missing: the frequency of medical follow-up. In my practice, I advise women over 60 diagnosed with hypothyroidism to have regular checkups, even if they feel well, because the body changes silently, and waiting for symptoms to become severe before seeking help can delay treatment. These periodic checkups are like preventive maintenance. Just as you don't wait for your car to break down to change the oil, you shouldn't wait to completely lose your quality of life to adjust your treatment. Another point I make a point of emphasizing in the protocol is, never adjust your medication on your own. I know the temptation is great, especially when you are tired of waiting for appointments or dealing with persistent symptoms. But self-medication is a huge risk because small variations can have serious consequences, especially in a more mature body. The adjustment should always be made by a specialist, taking into account your medical history, your tests, and your well-being. And here comes a very important detail: knowing when to seek a second opinion. Many patients stay on the same treatment for years, even without improvement, just because they believe that the doctor knows better than I do. Of course, the doctor has technical knowledge, but you have knowledge about your body. If something is not working, if you feel you are not being listened to, if the medication does not seem to be working, it is absolutely legitimate to seek a new evaluation. Seeking a second opinion is not a lack of trust, it is taking care of yourself. This protocol, observing, measuring intensity, evaluating duration, considering the combination of symptoms, reflecting on the emotional impact, maintaining periodic reviews, and never remaining silent in the face of lack of improvement, is the guide that can transform your relationship with hypothyroidism. It puts you at the center of your health, not as a passive spectator, but as a protagonist. I often say that a well-informed woman is the strongest patient, because she is not fooled by the phrase, "it's just age." She knows how to question, she knows how to identify, she knows how to act at the right time. That is the power I want you to take away from this video. When a woman understands the protocol I just taught you, something profound happens. It's as if suddenly she has a new lens through which to see her own life. That fog of uncertainty, that "is it just age?" begins to dissipate. And I want you to feel exactly that right now. For many years, I saw women who came to my office without hope. Some brought test results under their arms. Others brought only tears in their eyes. But they all had in common the feeling that they were losing themselves. And the first transformation that happens when you understand the difference between natural aging and symptoms of hypothyroidism is the rescue of your identity. Because fatigue, sadness, hair loss, dry skin, all of this is not just physical, it is also emotional. It gradually erases the image you had of yourself. When you realize that there is a cause, that there is a way to adjust, it's like recovering a piece of yourself that was hidden away. A 66-year-old patient said something to me that I have never forgotten. "Doctor, I thought I had lost myself, that I would never be myself again, but today, I know that I am still here." That sentence sums up exactly the impact of this knowledge. When you understand what is happening in your body, you stop blaming yourself. It is not laziness. It is not a lack of strength. It is not your fault. It is just a part of your body that needs care. This clarity takes a huge weight off your shoulders. And that leads us to a powerful reflection. How many times have you blamed yourself for not having the same energy as before? How many times have you believed that you were no longer able to keep up with your grandchildren, to travel, to enjoy life? How many times have you stopped getting dressed up because you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize yourself? Now you can see that this was not a personal failure. It was a sign from your body. And when you identify the sign, you get the chance to act. The transformation goes beyond the physical body. I see it in the sparkle in my patients' eyes. When they regain their energy, they also regain the desire to plan for the future. It's amazing how, after the right adjustments, many resume activities that had been dormant for years. Some return to dancing, others begin to study, others travel. Because deep down, it's not just about controlling symptoms. It's about restoring confidence that there is still much to live for. But there is something I need to emphasize. This transformation does not come from rushing, but from consistency. Hypothyroidism is not solved in the blink of an eye. It requires monitoring, adjustments, and patience. However, when you have clarity and know what to look for, the path is no longer scary. You are no longer walking in the dark. You know where you are going, even if the road is long. And here is the big reflection. Many women believe that after 60, it no longer makes sense to seek change, that it's too late. But I can say with all my experience that it's never too late. I have accompanied patients who started making adjustments at age 75 and had transformations as remarkable as those who started before age 60. Because quality of life has no expiration date, it is always time to live better. I want you to ask yourself now, what would I do if I had more energy? What would I change if I didn't feel so tired? If my body responded better? If I trusted myself again? These questions open up space for imagination, but also for action, because the answer is always an invitation to not accept less than you deserve. I remember a patient who said, "Doctor, I just wanted to have the courage to travel again." She was afraid because she felt weak. She believed she couldn't handle the routine of airports, sightseeing, walking around a new city. After a few months of follow-up, she came back to tell me, excitedly, that she had taken a trip that had been in her dreams for 10 years. The sparkle in her eyes was priceless. And you know what's even more beautiful? This achievement began with the simple act of recognizing that her body was giving her signs that could no longer be ignored. That is the real impact of what we are talking about. It's not about theory, it's about life. It's about feeling like you are in control of your own story again, even after 60. Because aging does not mean losing. Aging means transforming. And when you take care of your thyroid safely, you give your body the chance to go through this phase with dignity, vitality, and joy. Another important reflection is about the courage to listen to yourself. How many times have you put the needs of others ahead of your own? How many times have you prioritized your family, children, grandchildren, and put your own care on hold? Many women come to me with this profile. They have given so much of themselves that they have forgotten to look inward. The protocol I have shared here is not just a list of medical steps. It is also an invitation to listen to yourself again, because no one knows your body better than you do. When you start to observe yourself, record your symptoms, and recognize the emotional impact, you are giving yourself a gesture of love. It's like saying, "I matter, my health matters, my life still has a lot of value." This is the most profound transformation of all. It's not just about treating hypothyroidism, it's about regaining self-esteem, self-respect, and the certainty that you deserve to live well. And I know that this reflection may be awakening a mixture of emotions in you. Perhaps you feel a sense of relief at finally having clarity. Perhaps you also feel sadness at realizing that you spent so much time believing it was just age. But I want to tell you something very important. No matter how much time has passed, what matters is what you decide from now on. Every day you have the chance to choose to take care of yourself differently. Now that you understand the signs, know the protocol, and have reflected on the transformation this can bring, it's time to look at the practical side. How to apply all this in your daily life in a simple, uncomplicated, and effortless way. Because knowledge only gains value when it is transformed into action. The first step is to create a self-care ritual that includes observing yourself. It doesn't have to be anything complex. I usually recommend that my patients set aside 10 minutes, 3 times a week, to ask themselves, how is my energy today? How is my mood? Have I noticed anything different in my skin, my hair, my gut? This little check-in is enough to keep your attention on your body. It's like a conversation with yourself, a gesture of affection that prevents the signs from going unnoticed. The second point is to reframe the idea of medical follow-up. Many women see appointments as a burden, a bureaucratic commitment, and therefore put them off. But I like to suggest a change of perspective. Think of medical follow-up as a care appointment, as a way to ensure that your life continues to flow freely. Just as you don't skip servicing your car before an important trip, you shouldn't skip checking your body, which is the vehicle of your life. When you see your doctor's appointment as an ally, not an obligation, it ceases to be a burden and becomes a source of security. The third point is to learn to communicate your symptoms clearly to your doctor. Many women arrive at the doctor's office and, out of embarrassment or because they think they are exaggerating, summarize everything in vague phrases. I'm tired. I'm not well. But the more details you give, the easier it is for the doctor to understand what is going on. That's why the observation notebook I mentioned earlier is so useful. It gives you the clarity to tell exactly what has changed, when it started, and how it affects your life. This clarity speeds up the diagnosis and strengthens the partnership between you and your doctor. The fourth point is active patience. Hypothyroidism requires adjustments. Sometimes it takes a few weeks for the right medication to take effect. This can cause anxiety, and many patients tell me, "Doctor, it seems like nothing is changing." At times like these, I remind them that the body is like a garden. You plant the seed, care for it, water it, but you have to wait for nature to allow it to bloom. There is no point in pulling the plant out of the ground to see if it is growing. Similarly, there is no point in despairing. The important thing is to be consistent. Take your medication correctly, respect the schedule, attend appointments, and get tested. The results will come, but in the body's time, not in a hurry. The fifth point is to take care of your mind along with your body. Because hypothyroidism doesn't just affect the physical, it can affect the emotional. It's common to feel sadness, irritation, or lack of motivation. Therefore, in addition to medical follow-up, it's essential to have practices that nourish the heart. Talking to friends, walking outdoors, listening to music, reading a good book, writing in a journal. These small actions have a huge impact on how you deal with symptoms. Don't underestimate the power of taking care of your soul as well. The sixth point is to reclaim the leading role in your life. Often, after the age of 60, women feel that their role is diminishing, that they are no longer listened to or valued as much. But when you take charge of your health, you send a powerful message to yourself and everyone around you. I am still the owner of my story. And this protagonism is reflected in all areas. A patient recently told me, after I understood my body and adjusted my treatment, I felt brave again to say what I want and what I don't want. I started making decisions again. This is more than health, it's self-esteem. The seventh point is the courage to make choices. Many women settle for doctors who don't listen to them, treatments that don't work, and a routine that lacks quality. But you have the right to choose differently. Choose a doctor who listens to you. Choose a pace of life that respects your body. Choose activities that bring you joy. This courage to choose transforms hypothyroidism from a burden into a learning process. And the eighth point, perhaps the most beautiful, is learning to celebrate each achievement. We often wait for big changes to celebrate, but in thyroid care, progress happens gradually. Sleeping through the night without waking up tired is already a victory. Realizing that your hair is falling out less is a victory. Feeling like going out for a walk is a victory. When you celebrate each step, the path no longer seems like a sacrifice and becomes a journey of rediscovery. I know this may seem like a lot, but I want you to see it in a simple way. Taking care of your thyroid after 60 is not about transforming your life overnight. It's about adding up small gestures, small conscious choices, which together build a lighter life. And this process doesn't have to be lonely. Many women I follow closely say they were only able to change because they had someone reminding them that they weren't alone. I want you to feel that too. You are not alone. There are professionals, there are other women going through the same thing, and there is a safe path for you to follow. Aging brings changes, but it shouldn't steal your joy, your energy, and your freedom. Now, I want you to imagine the near future. Imagine waking up feeling ready to go for a walk. Imagine looking in the mirror and feeling good about the image you see. Imagine laughing with your grandchildren without feeling the weight of fatigue. Imagine planning a trip without fear of not being able to handle it. All of this is possible. I'm not talking about miracles, I'm talking about continuous care, simple and consistent decisions that give your body back the chance to function as it should. And maybe you're thinking, but doctor, is this for me? Can I still change? The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. I have worked with women of all ages, including those over 80, who have made significant gains. Age is not a limit, it's just a number. What makes the difference is your decision to look at yourself with kindness and courage. This is the final reflection of this module. When you choose to take care of yourself, you are not just treating a hormone, you are honoring your own life. You are saying, I deserve to live well. I deserve to feel good. I deserve to be truly present. And that decision is transformative. Now you know, after age 60, hypothyroidism cannot be treated the same way as always, because the body changes, the signs change, and the needs change. I have shown you the 5 warning signs that cannot be ignored. I have given you the protocol I have been using with my patients for over 3 decades, and I have led you to reflect on how this knowledge can transform not only your health, but also your way of life. If you used to ask yourself, is my treatment really appropriate for my age? Or, how do I know if I need to adjust my medication? Now you have clarity. You know how to identify what is just a natural change of aging and what deserves medical attention. What's more, you have practical tools to observe, record, evaluate, and decide when it's time to seek help. This clarity is what separates living with doubts and limitations from living with security and hope. I want you to leave this video not only informed, but empowered. Because every step you take toward self-care is a step toward a lighter and more confident life. If this content made sense to you, I invite you to share your experience in the comments. Tell us what signs you have noticed in your body, how you have been feeling, or even if this video brought an important click to your life. Your story can help other women who are going through the same thing, and together we can create a powerful support network. I also want to ask you to share this video with someone who needs to hear these words. It could be a friend, a sister, or a coworker. Often, information comes at the right time and completely changes the course of someone's life. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take the opportunity to do so now. Here, I will continue to bring content made especially for women over 50, always with responsibility, clarity, and the experience of someone who has dedicated their life to caring for thyroid health. Also, activate the bell so you don't miss any new videos. I deeply believe that aging is not losing, it is transforming. And when you learn how to take care of your thyroid safely, you make room to live this phase of life with more dignity, energy, and joy. So, if you leave here today with a single message, let it be this. You don't have to accept everything as a sign of aging. Your body deserves to be heard, you deserve to be cared for, and there is still so much to live for. I'll see you in the next video with more guidance that can make all the difference in your journey. Until then, take care of yourself, observe yourself, and never forget, quality of life has no expiration date.